Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Today we're going to talk about The Mandalorian and their future. Yeah, there's
I like that you... I don't know if that was intentional or not to refer to the Mandalorian as plural.
No.
Because the show has become plural?
No. Well, Filoni and Favreau kind of did a bunch of interviews ever since the announcements from Celebration. You know, about Mandalorian coming to the big screen. They kind of were clarifying some of their intentions with this feature film, explaining how fans should expect the Ahsoka series to connect with the Mando in the overall narrative.
Okay.
Exciting stuff coming in the future.
Maybe. You know, it's a Star Wars movie.
No.
Hey, I'm just saying. Track record hasn't been so great the
when
last few
Filoni
years.
says he's making something, it generally seems to happen.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. If Kennedy said it...
Well, she did, actually.
Yes, but he's actually said it now.
Okay.
Whereas all the other directors are like, I don't know what you've heard.
I like the Kevin Feige one. He's like, we never even talked to him. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
Okay.
But talking to IGN, Dave and John kind of went into detail about the creative process of shifting the story of The Mandalorian from the small screen to cinemas. Filoni felt it was kind of like a logical next step, maybe a conclusion even, who knows, of what's going on with the story here. Filoni says, I think the story just escalated to the point where John and I were talking about it, and we've had a plan for a while, but I think that I've learned so much, and I think it's something that I'm eager to try. You know, I've really enjoyed working in live action, and I've teamed up with John and Kathy. It's such a great place to hone your skills, and it just seems like the next logical step. The story, I think, has grown to a point that what we want to expand a bit and do a little bit of a bigger thing than we've been doing on our streaming shows. And it just presents a different structure than episodic series. You know, making a film. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of it. Still partnered with John, so hopefully you'll get the same brand of excitement that people are used to from what we've been making.
But a little bigger. Or
Yes.
a lot bigger.
A lot bigger. We'll have a bigger budget. I don't think you can shoot a full movie on the volume.
I don't think you'd want to.
And I don't think you'd want to either.
I don't think you'd want
I don't know if that
that.
would translate well.
Especially on the big screen. I think
Big
some
screen
of the flaws,
with a big screen.
Yeah, some of the flaws, I think, of the volume would probably be more evident on the big screen, as in the viewing screen.
I think
yeah.
so. But all of this kind of raises another question. Did they always plan to make the show have a big event that they needed it to be shown on the big screen?
I don't think so.
Dave says, I think in certain ways, yes. And then Favreau cuts him off and he goes, we knew the story would culminate. We have little culminations that come with each season. You have characters and things that thread in and out, but eventually, now especially with multiple seasons, multiple series happening in the same time frame, and you're dealing with characters, especially on Ahsoka, where The Mandalorian, you're kind of seeing like a ground level perspective, and if you're catching glimpses of characters and things that are happening in the galaxy, you're kind of seeing it through the eyes of somebody who doesn't have a lot of context. But in the case of Ahsoka, Ahsoka's a character who's been around long before her appearance in The Mandalorian. And also, we're dealing with bo-katan. These are characters that there's a lot of political implications as to what's happening in the meta-narrative in Star Wars, and those characters and these storylines start to demand that you start dealing with larger forces and bigger trends within that time period. So at a certain point, the rubber's going to hit the road in many ways, and the fact that now audiences will accept a permeability between media, which, as you see with the Star Wars films, with Marvel films, there's a lot of... Audiences are very sophisticated now, and if they're invested in the characters and the stories, you can tell the types of stories in one medium that you can't do with the other. There are certain limitations that you have with the cinema, because we have a lot of narrative structure to deal with, the amount of minutes we do each season, the multiple seasons, but with a movie, you have to make sure that it kind of comes to a head and resolves that in a 2-hour and 2.5-hour period.
I still don't believe that from day one they were thinking this was going to get this big.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think on day one they're like, hey guys, you're going to be making a show. Eventually we want that to lead into a movie. Go.
Season 1 of The Mandalorian doesn't strike me as something that has the intent of becoming gigantic. It strikes me as something, a very simplistic idea, kind of going back to the roots of Star Wars a little bit, the focusing on a character or two, and the spaghetti western and Hidden Fortress and all these things that maybe, Lucas was inspired by. And that's what they've said. They've said it was inspired by the things that inspired Lucas in the first place. So
Absolutely.
I really don't get the sense when you watch that they were like, yeah, we're gonna make this thing huge.
Well, it's even like they said, starting out with Mando's perspective, you've got the character on the ground. Here's one man living his life. From there, they did move into characters like bo-katan and Ahsoka, who come from a bigger scope.
Yeah, much bigger. I agree with them there. I mean, when you bring in the likes of a bo-katan, who a leader or former leader of Mandalore, and Ahsoka, who story is intertwined with this, the main character of Star Wars, you could say Anakin Skywalker. Of course, you're inviting in much larger narratives, but you watch season 1 and there are no known characters in season 1. Not a single known character in season 1. Virtually every, I mean, there might be something in the background I'm not thinking of, but virtually every character is brand new. The idea was to make something completely new, I think, and then they realized, oh, this is real popular. Sprinkle some new stuff in, take it wider, and here we are, making a movie someday, probably.
Something both Dave and John are on the fence about is labeling the film event as a series finale of sorts. Dave says, I don't know if I'd call it that. I think of the time period now as the New Republic time period, and it's something that's existed long before we were ever making The Mandalorian. The idea that after Return of the Jedi there was a New Republic, and that the heroes still had to defend that Republic from the remnant of the Empire, it's a very old idea that we brought into the first season of The Mandalorian because it was what was always there. So, as we've gone along, I keep a very large diagram, whiteboard, timeline of all the things, and as we build the story, I show John, if we do this, it's almost like a crime scene. We could lead it to this. And then that could mean we could do this. And he'd say, well, what about this? And yes, well, let's put that up there. And so a lot of times I've been using Post-its so we can move them around and keep them movable.
Yeah, it is a very old idea. It's one that originates 30 years ago with Heir to the Empire. But no, I'm happy to see this time period. I'm happy that it sounds like they want to kind of borrow from that.
And I like the fact that they've got a static timeline up there, too, that they're working with, so they're not, contradicting themselves.
Too much. Or the other stuff in the canon, some books and comics, which are already in that time period.
And then John kind of chimed in. And we have to keep checking in between our shows, too. And I'm watching, and we're looking at scripts. Sometimes it's not as obvious in the script until you start to see it, and then the writing process always continues all the way until you're done, delivered. Because you always have insights that the story tells you. And so, yeah, as we're laying the stuff out, because we have what exists in canon, and we also have stuff we'd love to pull in there from the expanded universe and legends. There are certain stories and characters that people have connected very, very much with over the years that might not officially be part of what is considered official Star Wars, but because it's so much of a part of the Star Wars community, as Dave did with the Clone Wars, bringing those elements in, and because they already feel like they're running parallel to it, and if you can bring it in a way that's elegant and can incorporate everything, and again, trying to bring together Star Wars as much as we can and make it align in a way that feels satisfying and decisive.
I do wonder, assuming that, they've kind of said they're being influenced by Heir to the Empire. Ahsoka says it right in the trailer, which is obviously no coincidence.
What? I
do wonder what characters you bring in from that. Let's not forget, one of my favorite characters, Mara Jade, originates there. Is there going to be any... I've thrown that theory out there before, that one of the ways to maybe explain the Luke falling apart is the loss of a Mara Jade. I don't know. A lot of fans are kind of against that idea because they don't want her to be used to justify the Luke in The Last Jedi, which I understand. Nevertheless, I am curious to see what aspects do get borrowed from the EU.
It is very interesting. I like that they're looking at those aspects and trying to bring them in because they understand that the Star Wars community likes those. They love them.
For some of us, that's 30 years of history.
Some people will say that's the only canon they truly believe in anymore.
Exactly.
So I like if they can bring some of that into the canon, like they did with Thrawn in the first place, bringing him in. Let's do that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think you need to honor those fans who have been there through what's called the dark times, when there was no movies on the big screen, not even a Clone Wars. They were reading the books, playing the games. Now, I'm not just talking video games. I'm talking, board games, role-playing games, reading the comics, doing all these things. Those are your most dedicated fans, and I always, not just because I am one of them, but I always like to see them get recognized.
They were also asked if Ahsoka is meant to be seen as the immediate next step of the overarching narrative, in an immediate follow-up to Mandalorian Season 3, much like the Book of Boba Fett was a follow-up to The Mandalorian.
So do we see an announcement? You have the prediction. We're gonna see.
I do.
I cut you off, but do we see a sort of a Book of Boba Fett announcement after next week's finale?
I think we are getting one. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
I would say 90%.
All right.
That's how sure I feel. But they were asking, is this kind of more going to follow exactly off the heels of Mando? Is this going to stand on its own? What exactly should we expect? Dave says he wouldn't look at it as a launching point from Mandalorian. He says, as much as these shows are tangential to one another and are in the same time period, I think it's important that you can watch them on their own. But they build, if you know, in the same way that if you've seen the episode of The Jedi and The Mandalorian, then Ahsoka is going to make more sense. You're going to get a little bonus like, oh, I understand what's going on from the get-go. But you're still going to understand what's going on because we pick up A New Hope at episode 4, right? So Star Wars to us came in the middle of it. So there's that kind of history in Star Wars that it kind of just dives right into the story. So I really just dive into the story with Ahsoka. But I know more about it because of the work in The Mandalorian. It's the same with Skeleton Crew. We never want to create a situation where you feel like you have to have seen things because then you're missing out. I don't know how fans feel. Do you have to have seen Clone Wars to understand Ahsoka? No. You don't have to have seen it. Does it help you? Will you know more and understand more? Sure. But if not, it's if you haven't checked it out, it's on Disney Plus now. Right there.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, it is. John kind of chimed in and said a lot of the same thing. He says it's interesting how Star Wars, how it changes by the way user-generated content, what they're putting up there, because, you know, when I watch a show, sometimes, especially if a show hasn't been on for a year or so, I'll watch recaps from, or certain YouTubers who will walk me through it, in addition to content that's been put out there by networks or studios that are doing it too. So I think that the audience, they're tremendously sophisticated now, but I think what Dave's saying is important. You should just be able to drop in and watch something. If I'm there with someone who's never watched it before and they want to just watch the series, we make sure you can get into it. But I think that there's always a sense that if I knew more, I would understand the context of that. And then we would also have what happened previously on the shows too, which helps contextualize everything. But that's kind of the gist of what he says there.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between... I mean, it goes back to what I was saying moments ago. You do want to honor the fans who have been there, who have watched all this. You don't want to just completely pretend it's a brand new character, yet at the same time you do, in a way, have to pretend it's a brand new character.
I mean, John does say, you know, we want to respect the investment, respect the time you've put in.
Yeah.
Dave backs that back up too, saying respect the investment. And it's neat because now, you know, hopefully if you like any of these shows and go, oh, this is relevant to that, and you can enjoy even more. He says, I know when I was a kid, if Clone Wars existed, when I saw New Hope, I would have gone right and watched it because Obi-Wan Kenobi talks about it. And I was like, Dad, what is this? Why are you showing me episode 4? Where's 1, 2, and 3? And he's like, there is no 1, 2, and 3. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense, Dad. And so we live in a world now where kids can get the answers immediately, you know?
Yeah, they can just go click on a link and watch a different show that explains it.
Exactly, or watch a YouTuber talk about it. Go watch the show. It's on Disney Plus. You can watch the entire back catalog now without too much of a personal investment. Like, you don't have to go out and try and buy them all. Or
No, that's true, too. You don't have to own the actual physical copies of things anymore, which is kind of nice.
It's weird still in a sense, because it's like I have physical copies of things, and I'm like, do I need these?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
I like having the physical copy because if I lose internet or
I know
whatever it might be.
I keep making that excuse, but at the same time,
Yeah.
am I more likely to put the disc in or just watch the stream? Depends. If I think the stream has been altered, I'll go back to my disc. You can't mess with that.
I know. That's actually a legitimate concern that they can't tamper with what's already in your house on a
Isn't that why they got rid of Admiral Blue Jeans?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, Admiral Blue Jeans is gone, and it's sad. It's very sad.
No, he would have never made the home release anyway.
Let's move into Collector's Corner, because this is getting lengthy here already.
It is.
Well, we had 2 more announcements from Tuesday that I just never got around to talking
Mando-Mania,
about.
right?
Yeah,
Boba Fett
Mando-Mania. First up, we have the Star Wars Black Series Target exclusive 2-pack of Cad Bane and Cobb Vanth. So you too can act out the epic duel and shooting at home. If only it came with the deputy.
We don't have the deputy, yeah.
Exactly. If we had the deputy, it'd be perfect.
I wish this set included the deputy.
It needs to.
I mean, the Cad Bane is marginally different. I think his facial expressions are different.
Yes, and he has like a gunfire action.
Oh, so
yes.
that justifies another.
And he's snarling. He's like, eh.
Yeah, so that's the two differences between the mainline release, and then we have Cobb Vanth without any of the armor on.
So
which
he's new.
New-ish, yeah. He's new. He's different.
He's not wearing the armor, so he's new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably virtually the same sculpt.
No, don't say it. Just he's new. Just say he's new.
Okay, he's new. Totally new.
Something needs to be new in that box.
Nothing in that box.
Shh, new. And then we also have for the vintage collection, also from Target exclusively, the Tusken Raider with Massive.
That's cool.
Yep.
I'm not going to say anything. I mean...
Hasbro.
It is.
We wanted stuff from The Mandalorian.
What?
It's Mando Mania.
No, because, hey, it all makes sense. Mandalorian was in the Book of Boba Fett for like 2.5 episodes or whatever.
Every episode they've been showing us things that they could make figures out of. And I don't know if I want to spoil any of those there because we're not spoiling anything. But there were things. There's a
lot of cool things that could be made into figures from this season.
I think almost every episode had something I'd be like, I could see a figure of that.
Yeah, I do too. Mm-hmm. I think there's been a lot of opportunities for
maybe
figures.
Even some 2-packs or arming building packs or...
all kinds
of
stuff,
actually. Lots of stuff, especially the latest episode. If you've seen it, you know. If you've seen it, you know what things I want.
You know that figure is coming.
No, there's multiple figures I want.
But there's one...
There's like 4 figures I really want now after that episode.
Wow.
Yeah, 4.
Well, now I want to know what they are, so spoiler alert for episode 7 of Mando.
Alright, I guess we're going to do a spoiler alert so I can tell you what 4 figures I want from the latest episode of Mandalorian.
Okay.
I want IG-12 with Grogu.
Yeah, that was the one we know is... They're going to make that, of course.
I want Moff Gideon in his armor.
Okay, yeah. They'll make
I
that
want
one too.
the Imperial Mandalorian Trooper.
Yep.
And I want a new Praetorian Guard.
I would bet large sums of money all 4 of those will eventually come.
I want like a trooper building pack. I want all 3 of the Praetorians together.
Okay.
Because he had 3, so I want 3.
Are they the same though? Or
no, they totally look different.
Oh, okay.
I've compared them. The armor style is very different.
Okay.
Plus their weapons are more in line with a Purge Trooper because they've got the purple glow and not the red.
Yeah, maybe
from the newer movies.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because they very much had the purple.
They got like Purge Trooper weapons.
So are they the evolution of Purge Troopers?
I don't want to speculate on that yet.
Okay.
And I want like a 4-pack of the Imperial Jet Trooper Mandalorian dudes.
The Beskar Troopers is what I call them.
Ooh, or it'd be great if you could throw one Moff Gideon in that 4-pack and I just have all of it in one box.
I like how you think.
Yeah.
If only Hasbro had any capability to think like that.
Yeah. But those are the 4 figure sets I want.
I'm on board.
Good.
Pre-order them.
We could even throw IG-11 in. IG-12 in with a couple of little Anzellans.
Oh,
so you could sub out which one is in there?
I mean, it's going to cost an extra 20 cents of plastic, but...
Oh, if that. Come on.
I know.
Throw me a little Anzellin in there. Or make it a deluxe pack and give me a High Magistrate Grief Karga.
What do you mean, or make it? That's a deluxe
pack
already.
No matter what.
Yes.
Just throw me in a High Magistrate Grief Karga.
That'd be a cool package. And the droid, too. I like the droid. I think he'd be a cool figure. The shiny droid.
Yeah. Who's one who always runs in too late to tell him things that everyone already knows. Hey, there's pirates. We can see.
Yeah.
Hey, Imperials. No.
Or Imperials. No, those are actually Mandalorians.
Mandos. Can't you see they have the big Mando symbol somebody painted on the bottom?
I love that 3-pack idea.
I want
Magistrate Karga, IG-12 with some Anzellans and Grogu and the droid. I don't know the droid's name. And they can charge $90 for that.
They don't give them ideas. They're already charged.
I think we do need to give them ideas. Have you seen what they've been cranking out lately?
I don't know. And then they give me a new bo-katan with the lightsaber. With the dark saber.
And her little shield, too.
Or we could get a bo-katan with axe and...
And Casca?
Yeah.
We already have those 3 figures.
Okay, then I don't need the other 2. I just need a new bo-katan because her hair and stuff is a little different this season.
Okay. Now you're giving them ideas that they'd like.
Why not give me a amnesty pack? I want a Pershing with the Elia Kane pack.
With the mind flare where his eyes bulge out of his head.
No. And give me a pack that has Lizzo and Jack Black.
Why?
Playing Bug Ball.
Oh my god.
Or throw Christopher Lloyd's character in there. Hellgate. Triple threat pack.
Yeah, triple threat pack indeed.
I'll just keep making up packs that they haven't given me for Mandalorian. Why don't they hire me? I'll come in and tell them what packs they can make.
I know.
Here's fan perspective.
I actually do think we would be better at their job than they are in some respects.
I want a gosh darn mythosaur that Bo-Katan can ride.
Okay, that's going to be big.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's going to be too big.
That's going to be real big.
I want a cute baby mythosaur Bo-Katan can hold.
You think they
Snuggle.
get that small when they're young? I mean,
I
that
don't
thing's
know.
big.
Maybe she rides a baby mythosaur. I mean, Boba Fett rode one. It didn't look huge.
When did Boba
No,
Fett
he
ride
didn't.
a
He rode a
mythosaur?
dinosaur.
Yeah, he didn't.
It wasn't
It's
a
not a mythosaur
It was a dino.
in the holiday special.
Dinosaur.
Yeah. Anyway,
Where's my pirate pack?
that one I could
I
see
need
coming
my
too.
Pirate King and
Beardy,
Van.
Mossbeard, and
Yeah,
Vanth. Is that his name?
Van.
Yeah, whatever. Vane? Isn't it Vane?
Vane.
Yeah, I think it's Vane.
Van. I don't care. I need him. Especially because he's going to be in Skeleton Crew.
He is. We've seen him in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. Give me figures that are new and not figures that are a year old.
Anyway, I agree with you. But anyway, that is going to be all we got for this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news. And let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.